Somebody recently asked me, how do I judge my success in angling? Well, I can confidently say that it's judged simply on the enjoyment of the journey. You know, that bit way before the buzzer releases that surge of adrenaline. The end result for all of us, if we get lucky, is a carp and a memory in the album. But if that's all that mattered to me, then I can't help but think I'd take the easier route to success, and maybe even fish some more heavily stocked venues. I guess what I'm trying to say is fishing is so personal. We all go for different reasons, and that's simply the joy of angling. However, for me, I crave an adventure these days. In a strange way, I really want a challenge. I want to experience new things, get to see new sights. I'm really enjoying fishing for carp with no names, and I love, obviously, to share all this with like-minded people. That's why my passion for European fishing is simply growing. I can tick all those things off, and each and every trip feels like a new adventure into the unknown. This trip, however, tested my mental and physical resilience like no other. But what I didn't expect was to eventually catch my biggest ever carp. Mine and my good friend Dave certainly had an adventure we won't forget in a hurry.
Well, that's a walk that I recognise from 1,000 paces. Bit of John Wayne swagger. Not too sure I like the hands in the pockets like a naughty schoolboy. But Dave's had a toilet break and we are ready to go. Well, you emptied your bladder, Dave. I'm afraid to say I did it in the bottle. Mate, it's the easiest thing to do while you're on the road. Well, just for the purpose of telling the truth, it's not. It's one of these, isn't it? But we ready to go? Yeah. Are you ready to go?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
What the hell is that? I mean, is it a horse? Dave?
I think so.
Oh, maybe our comments or our opinions are not suitable for this vlog. Oh dear. Right, we're nearly about to board. And we've got the earlier train, which is great.
We'd only left Blighty an hour ago, but as we got off the tunnel in France, we were hit with horrendous weather. In fact, there was a big storm rolling in, and as we looked to the horizon, there were some vicious clouds that didn't look like they were going to let up anytime soon. Far from ideal, because our first port of call was a network of canal systems in France, and that meant we had to be on our toes, out of the van, probably going to get wet, looking for any signs of carp.
Well, as you can see, we have just driven through some serious rain clouds up there. Dave thought he's seen a little bit of coloured water, so I've left him to do the carp tracking. Well, I prepared lunch out of the back of the van, sandwiches and some little flapjacks just to give us a bit of energy, because time is ticking on now and we literally have got hardly any time. But a couple of those will hopefully keep the energy levels up. Oh, and see, we find somewhere to fish tonight. Was it carp?
No, bream.
Breams?
Breams.
I had a bream.
And it was a buzzard bream.
Well, the first day just ran away with us, and unfortunately, despite looking at about a dozen sections of canal and baiting a few likely looking areas, we didn't see any real positive signs of carp. What we did see was plenty of koi pew, and those little characters kept us entertained for an hour or so. But as the night was drawing in, we had to choose somewhere to fish, and we decided to put our base camp in a marina section and just fish on a whim. Unfortunately, we both weren't really feeling it, and in fact we both agreed if nothing happened by the morning, we would be keen to pack up, get back on our toes and go and try a different venue. Sadly, as dawn broke, we had nothing to show for our efforts. Unfortunately, we didn't hear anything, we didn't have any liners, so our mind was already made up. We were already heading to pastures new. We needed to pack down, load the van, because we had another 4-hour journey into rural France, but this time we wanted to fish a lake.
So poor old Dave all night has been saying, I can smell dog poo. I can definitely smell dog poo. And obviously we did a bit of a perimeter search to make sure there was no dog poo. And his bed was just here. And he picked it up this morning and he was right. There's one there. Which was right under his bed. Oh dear. Never mind. All the kit's here. Just packing it down. bike obviously included in the car. We'll be on our way.
Well, that was it. Our brief flurry on that particular canal was over. The gear was once again packed into the van, and as we headed along the towpath, we vowed to return. But our next destination was a complete contrasting venue, and it was a big, open, windswept reservoir.
Well, some vicious clouds coming in, and obviously we've arrived at a venue. There's a little bit of room to fish, which is good, but look at those skies. It is vicious. We have not picked the best weeks, have we, to come fishing?
Well, as soon as the rain stopped, we saw a carp show. Now, it was along the dam wall, so as we took a walk along, we seen about half a dozen fish, but what we didn't know was just how deep it was, but we were later going to find out. But in the meantime, just getting our kit to the position where we wanted to fish turned out to be a logistical headache. There was a huge hill, barrows were out of the question, and to get down the other side of the dam, well, have a look. We had to climb down what looked like a ladder that had been left there from Neanderthal days. But with the rods out, it was time to sit down and have a well-earned barbecue.
Well, mate, if that wine and that barbecue to my left doesn't get the walrus snoring later on, I don't know what will.
Most definitely will.
I know your snore is so loud. Glass of wine, some good food. It's going to be like good health.
With a belly full of food, we clambered up to the dam wall and trapezed ourselves back down that rickety old ladder. It was time to redo the rods because we'd seen a couple more fish, but despite many casts, we couldn't find any shallow ground. It was about 30 foot deep, 20 yards off the dam wall, and at that point, I think we realised that we'd got it wrong. We'd made the wrong choice, depth being so crucial at this time of the year. But we flicked a couple of rods back out. We literally had 2 or 3 hours of daylight left, and with this being a days only venue, we were still full of anticipation, but we had to reel in just on dark. But if I'm honest, I think we both knew that we needed to move once again come morning.
Well, we're moving, and it's just too deep here. We sort of squeezed ourselves into an area which we thought we've seen a couple of fish. Well, we did see a couple of fish yesterday, but it's now at 8:30 in the morning, and we're already up on our toes because a Dutch guy who's at the other end of the lake, the shallow end, is leaving. And yes, we're trying to race and rush to get the area and hopefully settle in for the next few days. So Dave's going to move his kit now down the heel of death, because that is a nightmare, all the way down there, and then come back and get me. So yes, another move. It continues, but hopefully it'll be all worth it in the end. Well, it's the last time I got to use this ladder, because where we're going to fish next is flat, and what a joy that will be. So sorry for my out of breathness, but it is bloody hard work. Come on, this is a leg burner. No para-barrow needed here. Right. Oh, nice little bit of fitness for the morning. Right, that's it.
Well, the joys of filming yourself and trying to get rods sorted at the same time. New swim, new hope, new enthusiasm. We left the old rocky barge this morning and whipped around here because the wind was whacking into this area, and it's a lot shallower ground. We've probably got about 6 or 7 feet out here compared to 25 to 30 feet down the bottom there. Me and Dave have basically gone odds and evens on the rods, so if you've ever sort of fished these sort of venues, usually the action can come from left to right or right to left, and somebody might get all the bites. So we go my rod, Dave's rod,
my rod, Dave's rod, my rod, Dave's rod, all on single sticks, all pointing in different areas of the lake. So we've got a rod each on an area basically. We've spotted, which sounds weird in France, you know, not allowed to use boats at this venue. There's a couple of guys bait boating out I've seen, not too sure you're allowed those either. So we've used a throwing stick, got some baits out there, a couple of kilos over each rod, and we've put some chopped tigers on the middle set of rods, just to see if that makes a difference. So yes, we are full of anticipation, but do you know what? This is the first time in 2 days I'm feeling full of enthusiasm. As far as baits are concerned, don't know if you'll be able to see these, got the new induced pop-ups, and you have to be a bit agricultural out here because what's happening is Dave went with single hook baits. I say single hook baits, single 15mm baits, and he's had 4 or 5 tench today, so not ideal. So my snowman rigs with 18s and these induced tippers haven't caught any tench, so brilliant, that's what we want. Don't want any tench. So I'm going to quickly get these rods back out. We're not fishing that far, fishing at about 85 yards, and we'll sit back, have a barbecue, and do you know what? I feel really confident. It's on tonight. It is on. We are catching one. Just one between us, but it's happening. It's happening. We're going to have one. So next time I check in, I really hope it's me or Dave lifting a big reservoir carp. But until then, yeah, fingers crossed. Come on. Come on, the carp. Well, we've got Carino shelf life in 24mm. Those ones are what we're putting out in the stick. These ones we know are definitely tench proof, because there's quite a few tench in here, so they're going out in the stick, about 1 kilo over each pair of rods. And then on the middle rod we've got some chopped tiger, but most of the throwing stick bait is 18mm Atlantic heat and a combination of 18mm Carino as well. So they go out in a stick lovely, about 80 yards. You have to wet the stick every now and again because that's just the way sticks work. But that's the banquet for hopefully a couple of very large carp. Right.
Well, for the next hour or so, it was all about preparing some bait for this evening. Dave, on the other hand, was just in the process of changing all of his rods over to double baits when his last remaining rod ripped into life, and it certainly got the adrenaline going.
Well, it's caught for a minute, didn't you?
Mate, for a minute they do, yeah. This one's a little bit bigger. Probably about £5.
I actually thought I was a carp. Got a bit excited then.
No, it's
I see. So I can see why you're catching that one, because you hadn't. That's the only rod, Dave, that you haven't got a big bait on, isn't it?
Yep.
Right. Hang on. Makes sense. I was thinking, how's he got a tench on that? Dave thinks he's seen a big eagle. What eagle is it, Dave?
Pterodactyl.
Is it what you think it is?
Don't know.
Have you checked your tracking device log?
I've got my radio receiver out.
Yeah.
And we're just checking the bleeps.
Yeah. What is it? 10 bleeps for a golden eagle, 5 for a buzzard?
Nope, it'll come up with his own name. It'll give me all the details, tell me the year it was born and everything.
Yeah. You can see Dave's well into this stuff. Aren't you, Dave?
Yep.
They call him Buzzard. Big Buzzard Bendel.
Well, at last all the rods were back out fishing, all on double baits, and it was time to kick back for a cold cider. Now, as we watch the procession of predator anglers go about their daily duties, thrashing the water to a foam, we chuckled to ourselves that none of them caught a single thing. If I'm honest, I think the day was just too bright. But as the evening drew in, we were treated to a beautiful, majestic sunset. There were purples and blues, and it really was just a joy to be out on the bank. But as we were nestling in for the evening, thinking about we've only got 2 hours left before we've got to reel the rods in, Dave spotted something rather large on the far bank. Just the sort of animal you don't want to see when the night is drawing in.
Is it a wild boar? No way. Is it?
How big is it? Let's have a look. Pass me the binoculars. Wild boar hunting with Dave Bendel. Oh.
Well, sure enough, right over the other side of the reservoir, we could just make out a big, black, hairy pig. Now, this thing was huge, and it was all well and good if it stayed over that side, but we definitely didn't want it making its way over to our area. But as the night drew in, that still didn't stop me making a few snuffly pig noises round Dave's bivvy as it got dark.
Yes, we got one. That's been hard work, mate, but we got it. Well bloody done, mate. That's an awesome result, isn't it?
It will do nicely, mate.
That's a start.
It is a start.
It's a start, and we can hopefully build on that.
Just needed mother to arrive.
Mate, good work. It's got some lovely pearly scales on its tail.
Let's have a look.
Let's see, lift them up a bit, Dave. Little pearly scales. I think they're cool as hell, they are.
Dragging ourselves out of bed an hour before sunrise certainly paid dividends, because no sooner had the rods been put on the rest and the bobbin settled, both mine and Dave's rods burst into action. Clearly the pre-bait the night before had done its trick. Was this a sign of things to come? I sincerely hope so.
Well, good morning. I think this is the smallest fish I've ever seen from this reservoir. And the same with Dave's. I don't think I've ever seen two fish as small as the ones we caught this morning. Dave had a 25 pounder, and this one, believe it or not, will probably struggle to be a 20 pounder. But it's a start, and we can build on this. And yeah, it's worth all the moves and the effort, because at least there's a couple of fish in front of us. Who knows what the rest of the trip has in store.
I have to wade out here because you get that little bit of vital distance on the rods, so yeah, and my arm's hurting. Oh no, that one didn't work. That split, so you got to sort of wet the stick. There you go, out we go. There you go. Oh, got a bit high, those ones. Lovely. That went out sweet as a nut. First time. I'm actually putting backleads on because there's quite a few rods, not quite a few, but you know, there's a couple of rods in the area and I'm fishing braid, so only little backleads, little tiny ones. It's very shallow here, so I sort of wade them quite far out if I can, like that. There we go. There we go. Lovely, just there.
Well, it was great to get off the mark with two fish at first light this morning, but despite putting a little bit more bait out and the rod exactly where I had the bite from, the action just dried up. And as the morning progressed into the afternoon, we started to see fish showing further and further out into the reservoir, so I needed to come up with a bit of a plan B.
Well, slight change of plan for today, because I think what's happening is the carp are sort of drifting in during the night, and during the day they're definitely out in the middle. So I'm just going to try and go long with 3 of my rods just for the day, single hook baits, and see if I can pick off a bonus fish, really, because they're definitely not in close during the day, that's one thing for sure. So same tactics as before, an 18mm Atlantic or Cremino, topped with an induced pop-up, makes it flatter down lovely, actually, really nice and balanced. So that's the plan, and see where it takes us. Oh yeah, he's gone. There he is. Lovely. Right, that is about as good as I can get for today.
Well, the wind is lashing down, and me and Dave were just debating how the hell we were going to get the bait out. And this one I just lashed out today on a single hook bait as far as I could, and it's whizzed off before we even had a chance to put it back onto the baited area. So I think it proves one thing, that the fish are spending a lot of time in the middle and coming in at night to feed. So to get a take so quick, what's the time, Dave? 7 o'clock?
Gotta be in it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, this one is, it feels a lot different to the other one, but maybe I'm just playing it a bit gingerly. We've worked hard for these bites. This feels wild. It's probably an angry male, Dave, about 10 pound.
Hopefully.
Actually couldn't work out which rod it was.
The wind and the weather were incredible. It certainly stirred the fish up, I think, but as I was lowering the netting to try and scoop up my prize, it was getting caught in the waves and getting pulled out my left hand. I had to pan the net to Dave so he could scoop up my prize, and eventually the battle was won.
Okay, it's the wind.
I know.
Ready? If I come back, right, cool. Right, I got a bit of leverage on it now. Right, here we go. I'll get him up now, hang on. Well done, Dave. Oh my God, it's not even that big. It really isn't.
It's a bit bigger than you think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's look at that. Is it? No, it's high 20?
Yeah.
God, my arm.
Fucking angry man.
Oh, thanks, mate.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh my God, my arm. Well, he fought like a carp, twice his size, but as you'll see, he's an angry male. Oh, there he is. There he is. It's a great end to what's been a really difficult day. But I hope this might be the first of a couple. You never know. Well, one last look at him. He fought like a carp. That was about 50 pounds. But there he is. Still a lovely, lovely common. Lovely, pristine. Right. Time to go back, mate. Here you go. Well, it's nearly 7 o'clock, and once again we're just going to step and repeat what we did last night, and we're going to put a mix out in between both sets of rods. So 2 rods are going to go over this. That's 24mm 18s crushed tiger, loads of hot fish oil. So that's going to be put out in between 2 rods, and me and Dave are both going to spod together in a minute to save time. And then the other 2 rods and the other 2 rods will just be over throwing stick 24mm boilers, so a nice spread. Yeah, we had a fish over this and we had a fish over just the spread of boilers, so it doesn't really tell us which method works best, but we're just going to try and step and repeat and follow exactly what we did last night, and fingers crossed the same thing happens. And in the morning when we get the rods back out, we might have a quick fish or 2 before we set off and go to our last destination. You ready?
Working as a team, we soon had a banquet fit for a big carp out on our middle rods. Now for the other 2 sets of rods, it was a simple case of putting 3 or 4 kilos out with a throwing stick, 24mm baits into a headwind. Now if you've ever used a throwing stick for a couple of days, you will know it certainly takes its toll on your tendons in your shoulders. But it had to be done because we had 1 day left. A few hours this evening and then a few hours the following morning, in hope that we might just get something a little bit bigger.
Do you ever get that deep sense of expectation? You know, you just know something's going to happen. That night, as we skipped the rods in, an hour after sunset,
I had that feeling that something special was going to happen. I don't know why. We literally had a couple of hours fishing the following morning, and we were going to be on the road. But for some reason, the adrenaline was surging through my body, and as I sat back, Dave drifted off to sleep. I just couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning in the bed chair, and I just felt like I'd had probably 3 or 4 nuclear coffees. I hadn't, but sleep was out of the question. And as I lay back on the bed chair, I was looking out into the moonlight, and I could see them sloshing over the area. Well, that didn't do anything for the nerves. With rigs in the rings, it was so frustrating. But by 4 o'clock, it got the better of me. I've given Dave a nudge, I've put the kettle on, and I've literally got those rods out as quick as I can. We sat back, and it didn't take long. It literally didn't take long. Those fish must have been having or enjoying that banquet of food while those rigs were sat in the rings. And before long, my buzzer ripped into life. And what unfolded that morning was now probably one of the fondest memories in my carp fishing, and to share it with Dave made it extra special. But yeah, I'll let the footage tell its own story. But sometimes you just know it's going to happen after all the heartache and challenges and effort and driving. You know, the adventure was incredible, but to be rewarded at the same time with something like this, yeah, it was the cherry on the cake.
Well, that's an excited face. This is a face of total happiness. It's all come good. We are due to pack up in a minute, and we got the rods out a little bit earlier this morning. I must admit, we sort of pushed the boundaries a little bit and got them out about half an hour into dark. Not actually quite sure what time you're allowed to cast out. I think it's an hour before sunrise. Anyway, the rods went out, and we caught 3 within quick succession. I've had a 34, Dave's had a 36, and I've had an absolute huge mirror of 54 pounds. And yeah, to say I'm just blown away is an understatement. I'm not quite sure. It hasn't sunk in. It just hasn't sunk in yet. We're just about to do the pictures, have some breakfast, and then I guess at that point, yeah, soak up what's been an incredible couple of days before we get on the road and head to one more location, which helps us break the drive up a little bit. But for now, got to do a few exercises and get ready for a photo session which we've been longing for, and it's come good. Really, really come good. Right, here's the first one. This is 34 pound of angry reservoir carp. There we go. Look at him. Yes, that's a start, and there's a bigger one to come. And Dave's got a lovely leather as well, 36 pound. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What a great way to finish a lovely couple of days. Yes, Dave. Yes, Dave. That is lovely, mate. That is lovely. He is such a cool carp.
It's a breeze block of a fish, isn't he?
Mate, that is so nice. I love his shape. He's got a little heart-shaped tail and a mega like overslung mouth. Oh yes, mate. Take that, wouldn't you?
Happy days. Definitely. Block of a shape, isn't he?
Mate, he's insane. He is absolutely insane. Stay there. Head up a little bit. Tail down. That's it. Oh, we are going to rattle off now. Let's try and get that. While the sun's out, I don't know how good this video is going to be, but that is the prize. And he is huge. 53 pound. No, sorry, got that wrong. 54 pound of huge reservoir carp. Big, massive scales. The scales are the size of my hand. Just insane. Just insane. Yes. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, I'd like to be able to hold it a different way, but he's just so big. He's so big. Oh, look at that. Absolutely immense. Oh, yes. Oh, brilliant. Oh, look at that. Whoa.
size of its scales.
Well, that was it. It was time to wrap things up. Only 2 days at this reservoir, but what a 2 days it had been. We dried the nets out, loaded everything into the van, and it was time to hit the road. We were in desperate need of a shower. When I looked at my socks, they looked like they could walk off on their own. We were going to stop off at the services and then maybe just have one more detour before we hit the tunnel in search of a carp or two.
You're looking as cool as a cucumber with those glasses on.
That's because I am.
Well, we left the reservoir this morning and we decided to pick one more venue. Despite being sunburnt and feeling a bit weathered, and to be fair, a little bit tired, we were either going to just undo the bed chairs closer to Calais for the night and get a good night's kip, or do what we've done now and pick one last venue. And it's a canal about, I don't know, up north, a few hours away from our final destination, which is home, or the tunnel, and we are a couple of minutes away. And if all goes well, within a few hours we'll have our rods out on a canal. I've heard there's a lovely pizza shop close by, so thanks for that, mate. And yeah, we are going to grab a couple of cold beers because there's something to celebrate, obviously this morning's results. So next time we check in, you'll see a slightly smaller bit of water, and it'll be very thin, long, about a mile long in fact, but I've heard it holds a couple of really nice carp, so you never know. We might be riding our luck, but maybe just one more bite. Let's wait and see. Well, this is it. This is the last venue, and you couldn't get any more contrasting if you tried. It's in the middle of a town, and it's in the middle of a housing estate, believe it or not, and there are the public's everywhere. You've got some kids over in the park there scrambling on their bike. You've got some other guys down on the bench there just having a can of cider and enjoying life, and the traffic up and down this little dusty track is crazy. If you looked at this place, you'd think, no way, it doesn't hold any carp at all. It looks so bizarre. You just wouldn't even bat an eyelid. But again, I think there's a small family of carp living here, as I said, and it takes some doing, because you look at it and you think, nah, there's no fish in here. There can't be any fish in here. And it'd be one of those little ditches that you walk past and you wouldn't even give it a second thought. But yeah, I'm just gonna drop them in the edge. Obviously it's only 3 rod lengths wide, and sprinkling of Atlantic Keep and Cremino over the top. I've got my usual sort of double baits on, tipped off with the induced pop-ups just to slowly sink on that dirty sediment that this canal seems to have on the bottom. And yeah, we've got about 12 hours. You know, we're going to chuck it and chance it. I know Dave's a bit baffled with it all, because he's like, same as me, they cannot be in here. There can't be any carp that reside in here. Like, you know, there's a housing estate behind us. But yeah, crazy. I think there are. So you never know. Let's see if it holds a little surprise before we have to head on back to the ferry tomorrow morning. Strange, really strange. But as they say, variety is the spice of life. And hopefully everything will quieten down later on. We'll get a little bit of ambience to enjoy what hopefully this canal has to offer. But in the meantime, I'm setting up literally next to somebody's housing estate in a garden. So yeah, weird.
The canal looked majestic that morning. As the mist was rolling off, it really was the perfect angler's dawn. And as everyone was getting ready for work, commuters doing their usual routes, one of my alarms burst into life, and it completely caught me by surprise.
Mate, it's going to be a bit treacherous. There's no way of getting down onto the bank. So, excuse me, I'm going to have to do a bit of a slide. Oh, here we go. Oh.
Yeah, it's a very good one, mate.
Shake this one, dude. Wow, fancy that. Like, you would never imagine that these fish live in this little muddy ditch. Dave said it last night and I was like, I had to agree. I was like, it just doesn't look like these would be in here. It doesn't look too dissimilar to a little muddy ditch that runs around the back of where I live. And yeah, it's used, well, by kids, families, dog walkers, everything. We thought it was a big one in the fight. It definitely sort of, that is such a strange fish. There we are. Such a strange fish. So strange to hold even. What an odd fish. Yeah, there he is. Not happy, but I certainly am. That's him. That's the one. Put that there.
Getting the rod out, it was time to load the van, and I must admit I wasn't looking forward to 5 hours in the car with stinky, wet nets. You know, as an angler, that really distinct smell. I guess it's a sign of success. But just so I was thinking about reeling in the last rod, that little tiny canal had one more surprise in store for me.
Such a clean fish. He's a lovely carp up, Dave, isn't he? I'm not going to weigh him, but he's actually dense. He feels 25 pound. Big old fins on him.
It's solid, mate.
He's solid. He's absolutely solid. Look at that. That's a cool carp. Do you reckon, Dave?
Lovely fish.
Unusual shape. A big carp for a little canal, aren't they? Well, that's a wrap. Our adventure has come to an end, and I must say it ended in style. Didn't think we were going to catch anything from this little canal. In fact, as I mentioned last night, speaking to Dave, and you would have seen, I didn't think there was anything in here. It literally just looked devoid of carp, but to get two in quick succession this morning, and you know what, there's still feeding activity now. I topped up the spot with some 24mm at heat and Cremino, and yeah, they are absolutely loving it. I soon thought to myself, do you know what, these fish probably don't get fed, or probably don't get a good quality food source, so yeah, they've seen a bit of bait last night and it paid off, and the fights were epic. But really looking forward to getting back now. I've got loads of work to do, and you know what, I need a clean pair of socks. My socks have taken a battering. We've got about another 5 hour journey now, a couple of hours up and then 3 hours beyond the tunnel, but these trips are just good for the soul. I've had the most amazing time with Dave. We have laughed till our bellies have hurt, and it's what it's all about. Every day is a new journey. Every venue we turn up to is a new adventure. So, but until next time, which it won't be long, I'm already planning my next trip. Until then, yeah, I can't wait. I just don't stop thinking about these adventures. It gives us a whole new kind of enthusiasm to go and explore what Europe has on offer. So, but it's time to pack up. Rods are just down there. Yeah, there they are. And until next time, ciao. Just insane. Just insane. Yes. Absolutely brilliant. Oh.